Welcome back to Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade. Last time, we saw how Eilwood's story started, but now it's back to Hector, as the two paths are about to converge in Birds of a Feather. Hector leaves Ostia. He moves toward Santaruz to meet up with Eilwood as quickly as possible. He encounters a mysterious group whose dark garb hides an even darker secret. Perhaps these same powers have turned their blades on Eilwood. Hector hurries south, praying for his friend's safety. I wouldn't think Hector was the praying type. I think he'd be more the type to, punch the gods in the face to make them do things. Also, yeah, this song, I think this song is called When the Rush Comes. So, obviously your perspective on this chapter is slightly different if you're playing in Hector's story, but it's the same map regardless, though the enemy arrangement is quite different. Yeah, trust Matthew the Super Spy to figure out exactly where Eilwood would be going. So we're heading to Santaruz. And hi there! So, on Eilwood's story, I forgot about this. Sarah and Matthew don't actually join you in this chapter. They join you in chapter 13. So you'll be without healing for a little longer there. But on Hector mode, you actually get a healer earlier, which is kind of weird given it's meant to be the harder mode. Suppose it makes sense considering that, we kind of now know that Sarah is from Ostia. And here's the Windman himself! Yeah, so Uther found out about Hector going AWOL. True, he does seem like the kind of older brother who does care when it comes down to it. Only family he has, huh? That would imply their parents are gone. So it seems like Eilwood is already engaged in fighting. Oh, and then Sarah. No, we need you two. You are a healer. Oh, right, this scene. I love this scene. This scene is... I remember this scene left an impression on me when I first played. You, soldier! You just gonna stand there and watch? Who do you think you are? This is Santaruz. What occurs here is no affair of any foreign lordling. I believe I would love to hear Patrick Seiss voice this in the most, tranquil, furry way possible. I believe I'm going to have to disagree with you. You see, the man they're attacking happens to be a friend of mine. A friend? What? Immediately gets axed. Yeah, so Hector, there's a good description of this on TV tropes that, Hector figured that guy's inaction almost certainly meant that he was in on this. So he axed first and asked questions later. Also sounds like a convenient excuse for more violence. I feel kind of bad for Sarah that, literally everybody thinks she's annoying. Except Oswin, but, I don't know, Oswin's kind of more like a chaperone. So, welcome to Chapter 12, where we have to defeat every enemy, including the boss here, Zagan, a Kalen bandit. But also... yeah! Team Eilwood's just casually down here. They're all at the same starting levels and base stats they were in Eilwood Chapter 11. So they essentially lose out on one chapter of stuff. Speaking of losing out though, Dorcas doesn't have the energy ring on Hector mode. So you lose a +2 strength item. And, well, here's Bartre. Well, at least he starts with the hand axe, but yeah. Let's see, 5 speed, Bartre doesn't W. 3 speed, Bartre doesn't W. But here we go. We have to do this because Bartre. Also Lowen. Lowen's pretty cool too. I kind of maybe want to use Lowen a little bit. So that part of the song actually does sound like it comes from the battle preparation theme of Binding Blade. Oh, right. This village is giving us a tutorial. So there is no explicit tutorial on support conversations, which is kind of weird given how much of a mechanic it is in future games. It might be kind of hard to think about this these days. This was only the second Fire Emblem game with support conversations. Also, yeah, she's basically saying if you had a fortune teller, you might be able to, figure out who supports who. I do like that feature. I mean, a lot of games do already do this. Now, yeah, I'm moving Marcus back here. You look like you have some experience with battle. Boy, I'll say. Marcus is all like, I'm not concealing it. No, it's not. The most important thing is being mid at combat and having good movement, because it's this game. So yeah, we get a stat booster out of this. Though, of course, if you don't use it, it's worth funds rank. You do only have a convoy space of 100 in this game, so you actually, if you are keeping items for the funds rank, you might want to be a little careful about what you keep. Speaking of convoy, though, we still don't have a convoy right now. We will be getting it relatively soon. But for the next few chapters, you will still need to be careful of your inventory. Okay, we've got a witness. Marcus Foray passed through here. But yeah, whoever made those people disappear must have been very strong. Maybe it was that Nurgle we keep hearing about. Oh, right! Oswin's here.
Lord Uther, I will guard Lord Hector with my very life's blood.
So, I like Armour Knights, and Oswin is one of the few Armour Knights in the series who even hardcore efficiency players like. That says a lot. Now, it is primarily due to this game's enemies being weak, but Oswin's main deal is that he is nearly indestructible against physical foes. Very little can hurt him, and he dishes out a lot of damage in return. And thanks to enemies in this game being, say it with me, weak and slow, his starting speed of 5 and massive by this game's standards, plus 3 speed on promotion, mean that it's actually kind of hard for them to double him. His growths are a little mediocre beyond HP and defense, but those are the main stats that he needs. And he starts only 1 level away from promoting, and you get a Knight Crest fairly early into Eliwood and Hector's stories. Oswin is considered one of the better candidates for it, getting an immediate major combat boost, alongside access to hand axes, and enough constitution to not be weighed down by most axes. Though be warned that 16 con is quite difficult to rescue in this game. Still, I find that Oswin's low movement works against him less than you would think, as a lot of the early maps are quite small, and the few who can rescue him do a good job of carrying him around. They're not lying when they say you can't spell Oswin without win. So, Oswin. Yeah, Oswin is extremely powerful. Now, before I start with, like, the rest of this map, I should mention that we have a lot of Pegasus Knights here. They're not actually here. Also, enemy Pegasus Knights are still hilarious because they get weighed down massively by their weapons, but yeah. On Eliwood mode, this map instead is very axe-heavy. So I guess, like they put a lot of Lance users here because they kind of want you to train Hector on this mode, whereas, you know, for Eliwood mode, they want you to train Eliwood. Once again, I forget to do that. Keep a count in the comments of every time that I do that. Oh, right, I need to turn animations on too for all of Eliwood's squad, including Eliwood himself. You know, because I don't actually have a dancer yet, I may as well just have animations fully on for everyone. But I probably should still have them off for Sarah. But yeah, okay, so this bandit right here, has a hand axe. I'll need to equip Hector's hand axe. And let's just check on our ranges. I do like this partially, you know, split gate here. Gotta be a little careful of Sarah, because we don't want our healer to go squish. Oh, I think he's going to afford to heal. Uh-oh, it's Bartre time! Yep, I'm gonna have a lot of fun here. I mean, you know, who knows? Bartre might become ridiculously powerful. We'll see. Oh, yep, one of the rare times that hand axes actually have bad accuracy in the early game, but now Hector can just run in with his wolf bale instead. I think I used to pronounce wolf bale. I used to call it the wolf beal, but, like, yeah, it's it's probably Wolfdale. So, Bartre's already taken half of his health and damage, because... LOL fighters in this game having... I don't know what it was. Like, I feel like fighters having bad defense wasn't really even a necessary balancing thing, because, like, fighters aren't really that great of a class, anyway. You know what? I'm gonna just head down here. Although, wait, that guy's gonna try and go on the mountain, isn't he? No matter what happens, I'm gonna have bad accuracy, so let's just do this. Bandits with hand axes always look funny to me, though. Just have that bicep just flashing there. Now, can Oswin one-shot the... Yes, he can one-shot the Peggies! That's good to know. And in fact, I kind of want to do that, because otherwise Matthew and Sarah will be having problems. So, boom. So I will mention the bio. This is why Oswin is so good. In fact, I actually think I will be using Oswin as one of my main members of this team. Hopefully I can, like, fit him. Unfortunately, Sarah's a little bit gated off there. Okay. I know a lot of people who like to call Bartre Bartre, or, like, I guess Bad Tray, but, like, I don't know. Like, I still think, like, fighters just have these really just gigantic boxing gloves as well. But okay, take you out. And as I will have said, I'm not actually training Eliwood in this file, so, but I am training Lyn and Hector, so I will want to be careful of them. And I would kind of like to leave some enemies for Bartre to finish off, unfortunately. The Archer's not going to kill him, but Lowen can... Okay, hello there. You're gonna... Okay, I've got to be a little careful of that. Peggy. I don't know why I'm calling them Peggies, but, like, it's just funny to call them that. Peggy is like the name of the European ratings board, isn't it? Because I hear that in trailers all the time. Peggy 12. Peggy 16. I remember back in the day, I always found it kind of weird that, like, Peggy has, like, it has classifications for, like, things in games that, like, that weren't in the Australian classifications board. Things like crime or, oh yeah, that boss moves, by the way. It's kind of weird. Things like crime or, I think that it has one for discrimination as well, which is interesting because, yeah. Yeah, Australian ratings were basically just violence, swearing, sex, and that's basically it. Or there was also adult themes, which is like the vaguest thing ever. It's like vague posting, but for video game ratings. Speaking of enemy Pegasus being pathetic, wow, that HP. I mean, it's fun to see them get one-shotted, but still, that is kind of funny. But yeah, they basically exist, at least on Hector Normal, to feed Hector experience. On Hector Hard, they can be a threat to Matthew and Sarah if you let too many of them break through your lines, but I don't know, you're probably capable, and you can easily have Oswin just, Oswin just rescue Sarah. And yeah, as you can see, this is, if Hector gets lucky with his speed growth early on, and it's not that unlikely, Hector can become a real beast. 10 strength and defense, and relatively decent speed? This guy is fast and strong. He's kind of more of a mercenary who happens to use axes than an Armour Knight. Once again... Oh, it missed entirely rather than just going tink. But the tink sound is satisfying. In Binding Blade, it wasn't a tink sound, it was a twang, which I kind of prefer the tink. Also, Armour Knights can't seem to walk on mountains at all. Okay, can't take you out immediately, so let's just do this. Yeah, Oswin, for the longest time, I heard a lot of people say, oh, Oswin's one of the only good Armour Knights in the series, but I never really understood why, until, I had to give a shout out to Mecha for this video. He has a video explaining why Oswin is good, or it's kind of framed in the context of why Oswin tricks you into thinking armors are good, which in my mind feels a little mean, but, I'll just say it right here. In fact, you may have already figured this out by now from some things that I said in Lyn's story, but I am not the biggest Mecha fan, I'll just say.
But I mean no offense to him, his content, and people who watch his content.
I fully admit, it's not so much the content itself, it's just his playstyle is not for me. That's really all it is. But I also kinda don't like how much his playstyle influenced the Fire Emblem community on YouTube for so long. But anyway, that's kind of just where I leave it. That's sort of thing. I've always considered myself a little bit of an outlier within the Fire Emblem community. And it's just something, like, I have this weird thing where I don't really consider myself to be a FE tuber at all. I kind of just consider myself a YouTuber who happens to like Fire Emblem. Like, I know it's like one of the main things that I'm known for, but I just, it's hard to explain. Like, I think it's more that it's just like, also, this store only sells Vulneronites. Also, as you can see, we have no money. I guess because Hector rushed out of his castle without you know getting clearance from anybody. Because Eliwood has starved for some money because he's going out on an official royal expedition. So I do like the thing there. But yeah, if you want money, you will need to remember to sell this red gem. And if you didn't get that red gem, which is very possible on Hector hard mode, you will not be able to have any money at all for a while, actually. For, like, a very long time. Unless you sell unneeded weapons and items. And at this point in the game, you kind of do need weapons and items. So, unneeded is like, yeah. But, like, yeah, I didn't really think that I'd be talking about this so soon, but back in the days, Fire Emblem forums, I used to enjoy Serene's Forest, but then its community just became more and more hardcore, and they were just chasing out everybody who liked growth units and who liked to play the game in ways that, you know, were not considered to be quote-unquote efficient. And it was just, like, oh no. Am I gonna have to... Okay, first things first, that is as far as Bartre can move in the first place. I might have to use the secret book on Bartre. But, like, yeah, let's be honest, we're gonna kind of need to give him stat boosters, so let's go ahead and do this. Oh yeah, also, yeah, forgot to mention this. Marcus has different starting items in Hector mode. It's only in Hector mode that he comes with the Jagan standard equipment of a Silver Lance. I really want Bartre to take the kill on this guy, but also, the enemies are really starting to close in on Matthew and Hector. I'm a little worried about, on Matthew and Sarah, I mean. Because I'd really like to have Bartre kill off the archer. Maybe I can hand at none. It's like, if I do that, Hector's gonna crit the guy. And, like, to be honest, that's not, like, the worst thing in the world. But also Bartre. I mean, granted, Bartre does actually get a lot of experience from just normal enemies, too, at this point. So, probably fine saving the rest of these kills for Bartre, but, yeah. Also, if only this was one of those Fire Emblem games where the Jagan stats were precisely set up to weaken enemies without killing them. Unfortunately, it is not one of those Fire Emblem games. It is one of those Fire Emblem games where your Jagan is incredibly overpowered. So let's just go clingy, clingy, bang, clingy, clingy. It does kind of sound like that in this game. I also feel like I say in this game a little too much. I'm also, speaking of hot takes I have about other YouTubers, because I came around a lot on Chugga Conroy, like, lately. Like, I may have admitted this before, like, I used to be incredibly jealous of Chugga, because he liked a lot of the same games that I did, and he had, but, like, he just was way more popular than I was. But, you know, I'm okay with that now. But anyway, one of the things that Chugga does that I am kind of little personally not as big a fan of is that he doesn't like to call games games. And I'm just like, you're Let's Playing a game. Just let it be a game. Just call it a game. Like, he calls them adventures. It's just like, I don't know. It's just the way that he does things, and that's fine. Do I just kind of like this guy's palette, too? You don't really often see a fighter with, like, this, like, beige of an outfit. Oh, well, yeah. Well, that was a little bit calmer because of how good of a level up he's been getting, before that. Yeah, bandits going in mountains is always really annoying. So I guess Eliwood could try and fight them with his rapier. In fact, that boss has actually taken a little bit of damage now, and if I go... I do wonder. I need to visit this village regardless. I may have to get rid of that archer, though, because Sarah is looking a little precarious right now. So yeah, this is a reason why it's kind of important to visit these houses, because you get some interesting lore about who the Marquis of this region is. He's a nice enough fellow. Wouldn't call him weak, but he's more a follower than a leader. Lately he's been meeting with Marquis Laus quite a lot. Given her tone there, that implies that meeting with Marquis Laus is, kind of a bad thing. Now let's use the secret book. So yeah, we got a little bit more skill on him, and, yeah, there's no way Sarah can avoid that guy. 11-3. I mean, she can take one hit from the archer. But also... Oh, wait, you know what? Let me actually just take my own advice. Yoink. I wonder who he'll go for. I wouldn't mind him going for Matthew, actually. I mean, I could have had this chapter over way before now. In fact, I could have had this chapter over very easily if I was, you know, abusing Marcus, but, as I said in the bio, I am actually going to be using Marcus quite a bit in this game. I don't want to be, you know, completely counting Marcus out. I'm also maybe going to use Lowen. We'll see. Like, I wouldn't mind just giving Lowen a little bit of attention, because he is a very underrated character in this game. And also, there's Rebecca. I know that a lot of people really hope I'd be using Rebecca, but I just have too many other... And I thought he'd attack Matthew. I just have too many other characters that I just feel like I need to use. Because, like, I am using Oswin. Okay, that's not a great hit rate. Okay, did get a hit, though. I wonder if Bartre. I also... Hector's cape looks so cool when he's dodging. Yeah, a lot of the other sprites were based on Binding Blade ones. But Hector's sprite is totally unique to this game. Also, I believe Hector and Eliwood will be able to... Yeah, they can talk now. I believe this conversation is identical on Eliwood's story. I like Eliwood knows Hector so well that he's like, yeah, you're an actions first, talk later kind of guy. So let's just fight these people and, yeah. Okay. Okay. You were doing 18 to Bartre, weren't you? Because I want Bartre to take out that archer, but also... I mean, I might be able to, like, rescue chain Bartre out of the way, though, after this, so let me just try this. Let's go... Chop, chop. Hopefully. There we go. Delivering the axe right into the noggin. Level up 1. Will he gain speed? Okay, he did. Actually, that's not a bad starting level up. But he still only has 4 speed. It's like strength and skill are good, and skill only because I gave him the book, but like 4, 4, 4. And okay. Yep, even Matthew takes this guy out now, so like I have to actually rescue Bartre out of the way. Move Bartre down here. Take him with Dorcas. Drop the Bartre down there. And then... I'll just drop the Sarah there. And then... How do I do this? Because I obviously don't want... Unless Matthew just... Okay, I have an idea. I have a plan. And my plan is... Matthew go there, give his sword away so that Matthew doesn't actually kill the boss. And then the boss is probably going to attack Matthew. Unless he decides to be an idiot. Which, you know, this is the AR, this is the Fire Emblem AI. It very often decides to be an idiot. Nope, he's going for Matthew, yeah. Okay. If that had hit and the hand axe had also hit, that would have been bad. But I'm glad that Matthew barely survives. Yeah, honestly, the odds of both of them hitting Matthew weren't that low, but anyway. I'm saying anyway too much. Let's go... Oh, right. If Bartre misses, he goes splat. That's a problem. I don't like this, but I'm going for it anyway. Come on, Bartre! There we go! No, it wasn't. I kind of made it a little easy. I was kind of going easy on him. I really should have taken that boss out, way earlier, but still. Level 4. Yep, that's a little typical. Yeah, like, he's not even a level 1 fighter. But okay, Bartre is level 4 now. I can probably afford to just end this. I don't think I've even healed anybody with Sarah this map. You know what? Let's actually try and set up a kill for Lowen with, Do you like Rebecca's unique sprite? Yeah, as I was saying, like, Lynn Eliwood and Hector's classes are totally new to this game. Well, Eliwood's is just like a regular Lord class, but it is at the very least, maybe I could actually use Dorcas here. Yeah, that's kind of fine. But Eliwood's is also totally different from Roy's. But yeah, like, they're much prettier sprites because, they were made for the newer game. But even then, some other characters like Rebecca have unique sprites too. Which is pretty cool. And no level up for Lowen, unfortunately. But, yep, that's map over. So, yeah, the game gave us a tutorial for supports in the house, but I didn't actually get the C support between Eliwood and Hector. I'll talk about that in the next map, because That's kind of about the point where you're intended to first discover support conversations. But I'm still very surprised the tutorial doesn't cover it. You wound me is the kind of line that, like, it's just kind of like Patrick Seitz is a very prolific voice actor. Like, I know that, and I know that he's very typecast as Hector. Patrick Seitz plays a lot of really big, tough guys. But Hector feels like a role that was always written with Patrick Seitz in mind. It's kind of like how, like, Bowser's dialogue in all the Paper Mario RPGs sounds like it could have been Jack Black the whole time. That's how I feel about Hector and Patrick Seitz. Like, I can totally hear Patrick Seitz saying, "You wound me." Yeah, my brother is not so weak, yet more talk about weakness and strength. It's a very big running theme with Hector's story. Unfortunately, we don't have a full-on Lord reunion because Lyn isn't here, yet. It'll be quite a while before we... Well, not a while, it'll be a little bit before we see her again. I like that implication that Eliwood does know Oswin as well. Kind of implied that Eliwood and Hector both, dang, now I'm being taken back to my childhood. It's like the equivalent of, like, going over to each other's houses all the time as kids. I would joke about Eliwood being, "Oh no, Sarah's here too." But I feel like Eliwood is one of the few people who would not find Sarah annoying. He is too nice for that. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, in Sarah's case. Meanwhile, like, I like Hector and Matthew's dynamic. They both rib each other a lot, but it's very clear it comes from a place of it comes from a very affectionate place. The noisy one is Sarah. Yeah, the gathering information is the important part. Oh yes, especially if you're playing Hector hard mode. Yeah, and that kind of makes sense, because, again, if you don't get that chest with Matthew in Hector Chapter 11, you have no money. A League of Assassins from Boone has been moving around Lycia. Sorry, I always said Lycia. Experienced bounty hunters and mercenaries are vanishing. Meanwhile, Marcus, who also is very familiar with Eliwood and Hector. Well, that's funny, because somebody said the exact same thing for Hector. Yeah, that's what Hector immediately jumped to that conclusion. And axed that guy. Also, yeah, it is canon, I believe, even on Hector's story, that Mark is the one following Eliwood, not Hector. So, you don't actually get any tactician dialogue until now on Hector's story. So, that's why I'm really glad that I showed the Eliwood Chapter 11, because otherwise we had no context on why Mark is suddenly here. Here we go, Hector's looking forward sprite. That's actually kind of funny if you playing the game are like a 40-year-old or older. We've received sound advice in that one chapter that I've had Mark for. Oh yeah, and then everyone who reunites does actually have some dialogue with Mark here, yeah. No, don't worry, we kind of already knew your secret thanks to sending you to that house with Hector. So yeah, he is an Ostian spy. And Ostia has quite a few spies, actually, but we won't meet the rest until Binding Blade. Here's to our mutual survival. And Sarah squeeing. Yeah, she never directly said this, but the implication was there, given that both Matthew and Hector were terrified of her. And so, next time, with Eliwood and Hector's forces, small though they are, combined, we march on Santaroos just to find out what the heck is going on and whether its Marquis wants us dead. See you all then.